Major Brins, right? So,
I believe so, yeah.
okay. There's a few decisions to be made, Steve. How many do we need to be quorate? That's why I was asking was Clive here anyway. So, would you know?
It's 2 elected members from each local authority.
Yeah.
So there's 1 and 1 at the moment. So. Wel, mae'n 3 o gloch, felly prawn da i chi gyd. Ni jyst wedi checo gyda ambell aelod bod y cyfieithu ar y pryd yn gweithio, felly mae'n manylion cyfieithu yn cael ei rhannu nawr yn chat. Felly os oes yna ffwdan gyda'r cyfieithu, rhowch wybod i fi. Croeso chi gyd i cyfarfod bwrdd Dewi Cynolwrth Cymru ar y 30 o Dachwedd. O'n i'n holi cwestiynau, o'n i'n cwret, wel mae yna aelodau o Ceredigon yma. Mae cynghorydd Jake Berryman yn cydiro cyfarfod fforwm wledig, felly weld Beverly gyda ni o Powys. Os yna aelodau aelodau etholedig arall o Powys?
Dwi jyst wedi ymuno, Brian.
Glyn Preston.
Na ni, special. Good, diolch yn iawn, Glyn. O'n i ar ddoi sgrin wrth i diolch yn iawn. Felly, fe wedi croeso chi gyd, wedi cael sawl ymddiheuriad. Anne Phillips, Alan Morris, Dave Owen, Elin Prysor, Jonathan Evans, Marie Evans a Natalie Chambers. Rwy'n yn ymwybodol o rwy'n arall yn ymddiheurio? Na.
John Collingwood.
John Collingwood, diolch o... Wedi nodi ti mi'n cymryd, nodiadau mi'n cymryd?
Mae Steve yn hefyd.
Steve, oce, diolch o'r ddau i chi. Felly, os yna datganiadau o fuddiad personol neu rhywbeth sy'n rhagfarnol, fel arfer, os oes yna rhywbeth yn codi yn ystod trafodaeth, tynwch yn sylw i beth bynnag, felly os nag oes ni. Yn ymlaen o eitem 3, wedi cofnodion drafft cyfarfod wrth gath hwnnw i gynnal ar y 9fed o Fedi. Felly, allai cael rhywun i cynnig cywardeb i'r hyn i gyntaf, please. Diolch a cyw o lan i gynnig. Byddai'n help ysbych yn y cyfarfod blaenorol beth bynnag. A gael cynnigydd, Glyn, ti'n hapus i gynnig?
Ydw, dwi'n hapus, ie.
Diolch o'r iawn ti, Glyn. Os gael eilydd fydde. So sawl gyda fi na eilio gant o Jake oedd yn y gadair beth bynnag. Felly, diolch o'r iawn. Pawb yn hapus gyda yna de? Os gael bleidlais. Dymos o'ch dwylod e, please. Diolch o'r iawn i chi. Os na unrhyw beth yn codi o'r cofnodion. Was there any actions at all that needed to be followed up on? Hello, can you hear me, Dan? Na. Carwyn, os oedd yna rhywbeth i ddilyn lan?
Na, dim actions, na.
Okay. Iawn, felly yn ymlaen wedyn yn syth at eitem 4, sef y partner sgiliau rhanbarthol, a fel arfer nawr mae 2 mynd o'r adborth ni, felly prawn radau.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, just update on the progress of the work we're doing as Regional Skills Partnership. So it's just an update on the previous paper and how we're progressing. There's sort of five areas just to cover over. First one is careers connection. So in previous meetings, we've reported about the work we've been doing with local businesses in Ceredigion and Powys about then they're asking requests to be put in front of young people in schools. So we've got together a project called Career Connections. We've engaged with 6 high schools, 3 in Powys, 3 in Ceredigion, as a pilot for the rest of this academic year. We're targeting only construction and engineering as sectors for this pilot to see how it goes. So we've had real good engagement with the schools and the businesses with this. So dates have been provided by all the schools between now and May next year, and we have pretty much linked up a number of businesses from those local areas with those local schools in the construction engineering sectors to go and visit those schools and do sessions with the young people. So it looks like we'll be delivering these sessions to around 500 young people in year 8, 9, and 10, hopefully to help to inspire them with the working careers in construction and engineering. I think the biggest thing for us though is for young people to understand the types of businesses in those sectors that actually are on their doorsteps. They're not in Cardiff, they're not in Swansea, they're actually in Ceredigion and Powys. So it's a really important process we're going through. The next area is the careers information films for education professionals. So we have commissioned that out to the university. So they are creating some films that school teachers, lecturers will be able to view, which is about interviewing these businesses in Mid Wales and them talking about the actual types of people they want, the skills they're looking for, the attitudes, the behaviours. So they are able to transition that into the classroom. We've also embarked onto doing some podcasts with the Grow Mid Wales colleagues. The first one is next week, November the 19th, where the chair of the RSP with some of the cluster chairs are going to be talking on the podcast for professionals around exactly the same subject about the skills requirements they need in their sectors and their business within the region going forward. So there's a lot going on in that space. Careers in 360. So I've talked about this for a long time now. So this is the interactive platform for young people to look around the careers, the world of work. So it's a gamified platform that we've commissioned as part of the commissioning process for a number of the local authorities and colleges. So we've joined in with that. So it's been created. It actually went live on November the 1st. It's only been advertised to what they call pioneer partners. So we're a pioneer partner because we're one of the first to be involved in the process. So it's only been access has only been given to the schools in Ceredigion and Powys that have been involved in the building of it. Same in a couple of schools in North Wales, some in South East, and some of the colleges in MPTC being one of them. So it's been going 13 days and it's already had 2,000 different users looking at it. So, and that's been on a very limited basis. So when I seen those numbers this morning, I'm quite excited about the potential when we get this out into all the schools in Powys and Ceredigion. I think it'll have a lot of use and a lot of access. The other exciting part of that is the second level to that, which is being built currently, is a world of work where young people can not just look at careers, they can also go into businesses and see what those businesses do. And that'll be Pan Wales, but we have negotiated a Mid Wales directory, so you can just go into Mid Wales and see Mid Wales businesses only. That's being built currently. That is free to all businesses in Mid Wales that want to be on it. So any businesses in Ceredigion and Powys that want to be on that directory for the first year is free to everybody. After that, they'll have to pay to be on the platform, but it gives them an option then, a way of seeing whether it works, seeing whether they get the engagement, because we'll be able to provide the analytics behind that to say you've had so many hits on your business, so many people looking at it. So it's quite an exciting time. I think it's what we wanted to deliver and create. I think is starting to happen now. So so we're quite pleased about that. Moving on to the skills provision. So this is a paper that we are creating around identifying what our skills priorities are as Mid Wales over the next few years, next 5 to 10 years. So we've been doing quite a bit of work around breaking down local area energy plan numbers for Ceredigion and Powys around how many electrical engineers it means we need, how many more plumbing engineers. And we're doing the same thing around sort of economic development work like the growth deal projects. So we'll be able to produce a paper that says, right, these are our priority sectors. These are the skills we're going to require as a region going forward. That then can be used to inform colleges, high schools around the types of provision they need to be putting on for young people to get them ready for that. So it's quite a bit of interesting piece of work that's going on at the moment. We're looking for the first draft to be ready in January. So there's a fair bit amount going on there. Going on to energy, that encompasses energy, that piece of work. So there's a lot of work that's going to be involved in that paper around energy, especially around retrofit as well. Renewable energies, renewable skills, and the other thing around energy that we're looking at as well around the group is about engaging obviously these the large infrastructure companies and organisations, the likes of your Bute Energies, EDFs, to talk to them about what their plans are around skills and jobs in the region over the next 10 to 20 years. And just finally to say, business cluster groups are ongoing. So these are the sector groups where we get a lot of our intelligence from and our information about what the skill shortages are, the challenges are in the region, and it informs a lot of the work that we're doing. They're ongoing, they're happening every quarter. We are getting a lot of information and data from those groups. Some of the things, highlights just to say that they've been instrumental in informing the Careers in 360 platform. You know, the asks they were asking for has helped to create that. The design, the approach of the Careers Connection program with the schools, the response to the Senate around the apprenticeship reviews. So they've been instrumental in sort of directing the Welsh Government's direction of travel on that. So there's a lot been going on in the space over the last 12 months. More coming in the next 12, and it all seems to be positive and moving in the right direction. Happy to take any questions.
Ie, diolch o'r dau am yr adroddiad yna. Licen i codi un pwynt hefyd. Fi wedi sôn amdano fe sawl gwaith, ond licen i bod hwn yn mynd yn weithred, felly rhywbeth i ni dilyn lan o ran 5.3 yn ni. Ti wedi cyfeirio at o'r retrofit, ond byddwn ni'n falle edrych yn fanylach o ran ceisiadau cynllunio sydd yn mynd iddo mewn i Ceredigion a Powys o ran ffermydd gwynt. Mae Beltown a Bute wedi datgan mi fydden nhw yn cynnig arian ar gyfer hyfforddiant yn lleol. Felly, licen i bod ni'n dilyn lan. Mae'n job i cael ffigurau mas o'n nhw, gwir. Fi wedi trial. Felly, hyd yma, fi ddim wedi cael unrhyw fath o ffigurau gyda nhw. Dau faint bydden nhw'n bolon talu i Ceredigion a Powys os oes na ffermydd gwynt. Beth bynnag yw'ch barn chi o ran melynau gwynt. Os mae penderfyniad mas yn dwylo ni, Pedw fydd yn neud y penderfyniad yna yn Caerdydd, ond os oes yna rhywbeth allwn ni cael mas ohonyn nhw o ran y sgiliau hynny y dau. Dwi ddim yn siŵr os allai roi hwnna fel gweithred bod ni yn dilyn lan o'r fe ar gyfer cyfarfod nesaf. Dyna di nôl ar hwnna dau, wel beth yw'r teimladau ti?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. That's kind of the reason why we want to create the group with the EDF, with Bute, and is to get to the bottom of that conversation and what that could mean, especially around the community benefit side as well. So absolutely, and we'll report on that every time we report now.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Dai. And you know, this needs to be separate to the community benefit because they are big companies anyway. So not doing it of the kindness of their own hearts anyway. So you know, there's big backers behind them, and if we can get something on top of the community benefit just for training, that'll be great. Yeah, thank you for that, Dai. Can't see any hands up at the moment, but I will bring in Barry. Sorry to put Barry on the spot, but just to have just to roi bach o adborth really o ran bleni o ran campws Llambed. Mae hyfforddiant Ceredigion Training ynglwm gyda beth sy'n digwydd yn Llambed beth bynnag. Felly, sim lot o adborth gyda ni o coleg Ceredigion hyd yma, ond Barry, wyt ti'n bolon dy miwn jyst i roi bach o adborth? Sori roi ti ar y spot.
Ydw, wel, tan nawr, mae tyma bach o concern wedi bod gyda ni bod y coleg i hunan ddim rhan y bwrdd gyda ni yn trafodaethau, ond ers di llun mae hynny wedi cael ei ddatrys. Felly mae yna gam pwysig dwi'n teimlo wedi cael ei wneud di llun diwetha, lle oedd y gynrychiolaeth o Brifysgol Dryndod Dewi Sant o y Cyngor Sir Ceredigion ac o Goleg Ceredigion sy'n dod o dan faner y Brifysgol wrth gwrs, ond oedd hynny'n caniatáu i ni i gael sgyrsiau yng Ngwydd Medr, sef yr corff ariannu yn y pen draw ar gyfer menter fel hyn o ran revenue, beth bynnag, o ran cynnal y cyrsiau. Mi oedd rheini i gyd o gwmpas y bwrdd am y tro cynta. Ac felly, i ni'n symud tuag at sgyrsiau ymarferol, gyda'n deheuad ni yn glir, mae'n her, ond deheuad ni yn glir yw cael cwrs amaeth i gael ei leoli yna ar y ffarm ac yn ddelfrydol bod peth o dysgu yn digwydd ar y campws o fis Medi nesaf, sef mis Medi 2026, gyda'r bwriad wedyn o mis Medi 2027 bod llawer iawn o'r cyrsiau sydd yn cael eu cynnal yn campusau Coleg Ceredigion yn Aberystwyth ac yn Aberteifi yn cael eu cydleoli yn Llambed. Bydd rhaid bod darpariaeth yn Llambed ac Aberystwyth yn parhau mewn rhai o'r cyrsiau oherwydd mae'r adnoddau yna, dyw'r adnoddau ddim wedi cael eu hadeiladu ar gampws Llambed eto, ac felly mae hynny'n daith gwahanol ac ni mewn sgyrsiau gyda Llywodraeth Cymru ynglŷn â ffynonellau ariannu cyfalaf mwyn wneud yr datblygiadau hynny ar y campws. Felly, ni yn symud ymlaen. Ni'n symud ymlaen yn ofalus wrth gwrs, achos mae'n sensitif iawn o ran ymateb y coleg a staff y coleg ac i ni wrth gwrs ddim yn gyflogwyr o'r rheini, felly ni'n ofalus iawn o'n safle ni yn y dynamic yna ac yn dibynnu llawer ar y Brifysgol i gael y sgyrsiau, ond falch o adrodd bod cam pwysig ymlaen bod y coleg ei hunain, sef un o'r darparwyr pwysig ar gyfer y dyfodol ar gampws Llambed, bod rheini bellach rownd y bwrdd. So dyna'r diweddariad, Brian.
Na, diolch fawr o'n ti am na, Barry. Felly, na i agor lan nawr beth yna. Felly, Clive, a os oes rhywun mae'n holi cwestiwn di Barry hefyd, croeso un o holi ti hefyd. Felly, Clive, pryna.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. I've noticed from paragraph 2.2 of the report that Di refers to there being an employment skills plan update. The report is obviously a great summary and a high-level summary of what's in the plan. But I wondered whether members would be interested in next meeting to have a copy of the plan with an actual with a report against each of the actions on that plan in it.
Yeah, cwestiwn i fod teg. Di, you happy to provide?
Apologies, I couldn't hear that then. I don't know why I couldn't hear anything. What was the question?
Try again, Clive.
Yeah, so Di, section 2.2.
I still can't hear anything, sorry.
Gosh.
Okay, okay. Section 2.2, Di. The plan.
I don't think you can hear, Chair.
Can you hear me, Di?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Okay. Must be a
Di, can you hear me now?
What was the question regarding the plan?
Yeah, just matter of sharing of that plan with members, I think.
Yeah.
Am I correct in saying that, Clive?
Yes, and with update on each of the actions, because the plan will contain a number of actions. Perhaps we just need to see the whole plan and the actions against each of them.
And an update on all of the actions as well, Di. So, okay. Clive, best perhaps send Di a message. That'll be best.
I'll do that,
anyway,
Chair.
so.
Thank you.
And we'll count that as an action if members are happy to do. I'm happy with that anyway. So, good. Diolch yn fawr, Clive. Diolch yn fawr, Di. Any more questions? Unrhyw gwestiynau neu sylwadau i Di? Na? Dim byd, felly diolch yn fawr iawn. Os ydych chi'n ôl i'r agenda. O, fi wedi colli'r agenda nawr, felly. It's the trouble with clicking too many things. Bear with me. Right, I'm getting that.
Eitem 5 nes
Ie, 'na ti.
ar yr grwstiol a na i gychwyn os ydyn nhw'n iawn.
Ie, 'na ti. Wel, mae enw Adam lawr hefyd, felly ti Carwyn i
Ie.
kick-off gynta?
Na i kick-off gyntaf neu ddod Adam i fewn.
OK, diolch fawr ti.
So diolch fawr iawn. So I'll sort of continue in English. So this is the usual sort of portfolio update report that you receive as members of the Growing Mid Wales Board on the performance and progress of the Mid Wales Growth Deal. I'm happy to report that we're continuing to make good progress overall, and we're now fully in the delivery phase, as you know. We won't labour the detail too much because we've had a workshop recently, and you know exactly where we are in terms of the projects. But fundamentally speaking, in terms of the high level messages, you know, we're nearly about £7 million committed and contractually committed and into delivery now. And the pipeline, which is important, the business case pipeline is strong. You know, the agenda that you've got in front of you today and the papers we've got to work through demonstrate that there are some key decisions coming down the track and on the horizon. We are proposing that we meet again in December and in January, just because of the volume of decisions that you will be required to consider as members on the projects that are coming down the track. So it's just a message from me in terms of it has been a busy period at an officer level, but it'll be a busy period for you as members coming up, I'm afraid. But hopefully that'll be a positive sign because the projects are coming through for approval. I will introduce Adam briefly, but the sort of key thing I just want to call out is, particularly in relation to sort of 2.6 onwards in the cover report, is a lot has moved on with individual projects since the time of writing the report as well. So I think it's important to note that with Dŵr Cymru, I can report that the situation has unblocked. Pardon the pun, I'm not using a water industry analogy there, but we seem to have made progress in terms of the conversations we've had as a portfolio management office. However, and I just want to clarify the wording in paragraph 2.8, the final decision ultimately still rests with you as a board in terms of the risk sharing and what we're proposing. But what we've proposed as an officer team is, you know, less funding available, but we're not increasing the growth deal funding and the intervention. Is a basically 50-50 split, which is, you know, broadly in line with what we were expecting previously. But the likelihood is that they will not be pursuing work package 3 as a result. So the officer recommendation is, well, let's see the business case then, and we'll have to take that back to yourself as members, because we will still have to ensure that the business case still stacks up in terms of value for money and benefits, and any reduction in benefits needs to be proportionate to the amount of funding that the project will now be seeking. So I just wanted to add that verbally because I think it's important, because things are moving so quickly with these projects. It's important just that you as members are aware on the latest detail. I'm happy to report as well that overall the funding gap has reduced across the portfolio, but again we talked about that in the workshop the other week. But you know, it is heading in the right direction in terms of the match funding gap overall. I'll come back when it comes to the portfolio assurance review and the action plan. I just want to cover that with you as members, just so that you've got sight of progress against actions in the assurance review. But with that, I'll introduce Adam. Adam, I don't think you've met as members before. He's our new portfolio planner in the portfolio management office. He's come in from the private sector and is a valid member of our team now, and covering for Natalie as a footer on a training course on business case development today. So it's very apt. So Adam, over to you.
Diolch Owen, and Shmai Pawb, nice to meet you all. I'm going to just take you through some of the key highlights from each of the programs and projects, give the statuses and just a high-level overview of where we are. And please feel free to stop me and ask any questions as we go through. And I'm sure between me and Carol, we can probably answer them as best we can. So just under the digital program, if we start there, so current tracking is amber. So we've got the mobile coverage and capacity project. So they finalised some intervention areas that have been undertaken, and confirmation prioritisation of the methodology previously discussed at meetings. So that's moving forward. They've had really good, strong engagement with the SMEs to finalise their delivery procurement approach for the development of both the public sector and commercial sector grant schemes. and that's going to help them complete their FBC. So although amber, I think that's amber tracking towards green, so it's going in the right direction. The business park FTT connectivity project. So procurement documents for the tender process have been finalised and have been undertaken with the team, and they're being developed in the appropriate channels. And they've also had the appropriate subsidy assessments completed with input from Powis Legal as well. And good news that a project officer has been providing additional resource, particularly around the procurement process and management. So that's going to help us maintain our timeframes of the project. The LoRaWAN stimulation project, so service specification and procurement documents for the tender process have been completed, which is good news. Delays to procurement timeframes have occurred, but we've replanned and got that back on track, so that's positive. And again, these subsidiary assessments have been completed with Powis Legal team. So again, that's going in the right direction. You could argue it's amber green. Around the enabling projects, so we've got the digital connectivity and mapping and analysis projects. So Streetwave data has enabled the finalisation of interventions across the region, and a platform's being developed to contain significant information for the FTTP developments across the region. So lots of activity going on in that project, but we are making progress against the plan. So really pleased with that one. And finally, under the digital programme, we've got the open access agreement project. So concerns have been raised with the legal team regards the capacity to complete the review agreements. So I know a number of the agreements are nearer completion, but they haven't been agreed as of yet. So they're currently knocking all that down as barriers to complete the agreements as best we can and get everything back on track. So yeah, I think it's tracking in the right direction as well for that piece. Regarding the project updates, so the overall position of the external projects is rated as amber, and I'll just take you through those now. So the Cymru Tech Park, that's actually got a change request that's part and parcel of this meeting, but the amber status reflects a managed recalibration of timelines to accommodate the complexity of the project rather than any real loss of momentum. Cynefin is tracking as amber. Although the project continues to make controlled progress and remains strategically aligned with the Mid Wales growth objectives, they just needed some support being procured to support the production of the phase 1 FBC and the OBC. And the work has commenced on the building of the cases. So amber, but going in the right direction. Elan Valley, I'm not going to label the Elan Valley projects. I think Carolyn's given a good update on that one, and the pack's probably out of date. So if we move to the Green Futures Innovation Park, this one was scheduled, is tracking as red at the moment, but the project is back on track with some confidence. We've got a change request that's been coming for approval, and that should allow us to realign our baseline project plan timelines so that we can get the checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, and the formal submissions in a plan and give everyone the confidence that we're moving in the right direction. Just awareness, the Montgomery Canal project, that's tracking as green, which is really good news. Project submitted the second checkpoint for the OBC, and feedback's been scheduled and agreed. So that's tracking in the right direction. And for awareness, the Aberystwyth and Harbour and T Glass projects are tracking as red. At the moment, we don't really have much of a plan in place, so the scope is under review for those two pieces. For a wider awareness as well, we've got some business case submissions coming through in the next couple of months. So the Agri-Food Business Park expansion, the OBC checkpoint 2 is coming. Montgomery's Canals OBC checkpoint 2 is coming as well. And the GFIP main OBC for checkpoint 1 is also due soon. So yeah, although tracking as amber for those projects, there's a lot of good work, and hopefully the work that's going in by the team, we should be able to bring that back to an amber, even potentially looking towards green, hopefully in the new year at some point. If I cover off the Mid Wales Commercial Property Investment Fund, so there's 9 business cases that are now involved and have been progressing to their full business status. They're coming down the track quite quickly. So in the new year, you're probably going to see a lot of activity under this programme where we're going to be approving bits and pieces. Delivery plan's been extensively updated. End-to-end delivery times have also been included. And for awareness, we've also put up a speculative business case for a possible second tranche. So that's something we've got in our back pocket, but it's just for awareness that you might see that somewhere at some point. Appreciate that was a bit of a whistle-stop tour. Did anyone have any questions?
Ffili gweld unrhyw hyd yma, Adam, felly ti wedi gwneud job yn da iawn. Felly, ie, croeso wrtha i hefyd i ti hefyd.
Yeah, so if I finish the item off then, in terms of the portfolio assurance review. So as members, you will recall that I've updated on this previously. We have these reviews every year, and we recently had one in sort of recent times. And it's effectively an external review that's commissioned on behalf of both governments. Kind of like an inspection, I suppose. They come in and look at how we run things in the growth deal. So whilst the report itself is an internal document, there is a commitment, and as we've done every year with the board, is to share the recommendations with you. So from page 49 onwards, it's effectively my sort of working draft to update narrative, because I think I promised in the last meeting that I would give you an update on where are we with those actions and those recommendations. So if I start from the first priority, yes, it's not me that drafted the priority order and the recommendation numbering, by the way. I am not guilty of that. So priority 1 is recommendation 3. But I'll go through them in the order of the table anyway. So the first recommendation there is ensuring that the SRO, which is myself, ensures that we've got the right people managing and leading the deal. So as you know, we have appointed Natalie as the new senior portfolio delivery manager, but I've still got Fiona, our external consultant, supporting us in terms of that transition period and up until sort of the Christmas period. So from my perspective, that's largely done. Obviously, I'll need to evaluate the sort of performance of said individuals, but we have put measures in place and tracking that. The next recommendation is about sort of match funding. So we're all aware of the match funding challenge we've got across the portfolio. We've rehearsed this, I think, in a lot of detail in the workshop in Llandod pretty recently. Then sort of one of the items on the agenda later on the agenda is the strategic portfolio business case update, which gives a view. As I've said, the situation has improved across the portfolio, and as I was reporting earlier, but another item we're talking about is the pipeline and what we do about it moving forward. So I won't rehearse that too much, but you will be assured that there's a lot of action happening there to address that point. Inflationary risk, and that's purely the message I think that I also shared in the workshop around the longer the time period the projects spend in the doldrums of developing their projects, the less money we've got in reality to spend. So again, from my perspective, that's about accelerated action and delivery. So, the message from the two leaders were quite clear in the workshop the other day in terms of, deliver, deliver, deliver. And if you can't deliver, well, you drop off the list. So that's effectively the action there, just accelerated delivery from our side. And the stop go, which we'll cover later on. In regards to revenue and seed funding, I know, sort of briefing both leaders recently on this, there is an opportunity to raise this issue with Minister Anna McMorrin. Either Brian or Jacob may want to refer to that, but I think it's about that continued lobbying of the two governments around the revenue gap and the challenge we've got in the deal. And the last point is the financial management strategy. But again, as members, you'll be aware that you approved that in June. But so that's been done. The next recommendation is about sort of reviewing skills and resource. I'm taking that part and parcel as part of my operational responsibility in terms of reviewing that periodically. Currently, as I said, I've made key appointments to our leadership sort of team in terms of the growth deal. And I can share that we have made appointments to Adam's team in the planning side of the deal recently, two key analyst roles there, which will really help in terms of capacity and resource. So again, I'm pretty happy with where we are on that recommendation. The next recommendation is something you'll be very aware of, which is the stop-go decisions on projects and the critical success criteria, which we've rehearsed in the workshop in Llandrindod, and we'll discuss in more detail today. The next recommendation is about the pipeline opportunities of the portfolio. Again, you will catch a theme here. We've already discussed that in the workshop, and we'll discuss it later on. The next recommendation is about contingency arrangements in terms of any sort of changes to portfolio leadership. So that'll be something it says there I'll be communicating to board in November, but I'll probably do January in terms of that's not something I've been able to quite do. But that's by December. So, but that's largely in terms of ensuring that we've got resilience there. But we have got a senior officer team across the 2 local authorities that, beyond the growth deal team, we are supported by 2 capable local authorities and their senior management teams. So that's effectively the contingency we've got there. If anyone has a lottery win tomorrow, we've got well established governance arrangements, we've got well established operating models. So we're not dependent on individuals, I think, but government will want to have that reassurance and understand that. The next recommendation is about continued effectiveness of governance arrangements. So as I've inferred, we are responding to what's in the plan by putting in some additional meetings. So I think as members, we are not proposing to move the Growing Mid Wales Board to a monthly meeting on, you'll be glad to hear, it's still bi-monthly. However, we have put options in to have meetings in between. So there'll be lighter meetings and they'll decision only. So for example, if a business case needs to come in, we'll liaise with both leaders and we'll call a meeting if a decision is required. So we're not going to go through the whole rigmarole of this is where the portfolio's at and this is what we're doing. It'll be a case of this needs decision. Members, are you content with it? So we can just speed things up and speed the decision making up. Because the last thing that I want to see is we're pushing the projects to shift with to accelerate, and we're cumbersome and slow to respond. So we've provided for that, and all of next year there's diary markers to allow for that. The next recommendation is production of a benefits realisation plan. So that has commenced. We've got a view on the updated benefits in the strategic portfolio business case refresh, which we'll go through later on. But government will want to see, a time-bound benefits realisation plan. So they're very clear in terms of across the portfolio what amount of jobs we're producing, where, when, and how. So, but that's in train. And that's again, I noticed putting a lot of pressure on Adam and his team to help resolve that with the project. The next recommendation is reviewing the RAID log and sort of RAID responsibility there. But I'm pleased to report, the reports that you've had today and Adam went through probably be the last of that kind of look and feel of the reports that you've received historically. We are trying to cut down on the level of reporting there and just bring you the key information only, and particularly on the RAID side of things, the risk register. That's risks, assumptions, issues, and dependencies. We'll want to ensure that you've got that in a snappier format where you've got visibility as members of the key risks and issues. You don't need to see everything. So we are changing the reporting to you there for future meetings. And then the last recommendation is the inclusion of an opportunities log. So that's feels like a small thing, but again, the message from the review team was, well, yeah, okay, you're focused on current delivery and you're focused on, any mistakes and you're focused on lessons learned, but are you tracking opportunities? Because by virtue of delivering the current portfolio of projects, are we tracking those conversations where we might say, actually, might be an opportunity to do something slightly differently over there? So it's a good comment, and I think it'll help improve our regional intelligence and awareness as a regional team across 2 local authorities to capture those opportunities. I think I've covered it there, Chair. I'll pause there if there's any questions.
Just Carol, just to follow up, the opportunity log is actually available now. We've completed it, so we're just in the process as the team of getting together next week to kind of probably pick your brain around what opportunities are out there and actually populate it, so we might be able to share it for the next board potentially.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Diolch yn fawr ti, Carwyn, Adam, am y cwrwyniad yna. Clive, dere ti mewn.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted, Carwyn, if you wanted to put some target dates in recommendations 9 and 8, please, because they're the gaps there at the moment in time. And we've just heard that Adam's already done one, so that's great. But just wondered if you want to put some dates in those gaps, please.
Yeah. So recommendation 9, I think that's in regards to the RAID log. I should confirm actually that has been completed actually. Clive, yeah. Sorry, I should confirm that. And then recommendation 8, as Adam has just confirmed, that's also been completed. So they're blank because effectively, we probably knew somewhere that they've been completed, but apologies that the column is blank, but I can confirm those 2 have been completed.
Thanks, Carwyn.
God, diolch yn fawr. Rhywbeth sy'n mas o ddwylo di Carwyn, ond sydd yn dilywod ar gofres y risg o ran etholiad blwyddyn nesaf. Pwy bynnag bydd yn arwen Llywodraeth Cymru. Bendant mae hwnna yn risg beth bynnag, felly dwi ddim yn siŵr o gath ei gofnodi, ond ni wedi codi fe blaen Coryn, so sa'n beth yw'r teimlad. Yw ti ffilio fod yn rydyddol yn y llai fod?
Yr sylw allan ei fel swyddog ydy tawaith be ddaw yn yr etholiad, mae'n mynd i fod yn gyfnod heriol o rownd cyllideba i'r dyfodol ta beth, achos ni'n gwybod hynny o ran sefyllfa ariannol y wlad. Gyda sefyllfa fel yna, mae cwestiynau yn amlwg a mae yna pwysau'n mynd i ddod ar sut dyn ni'n gwario'r arian sydd gyda ni ar hyn o bryd. Mae yna gytundeb hir dymor mewn lle gan y ddwy lywodraeth i weithredu'r fargen dwf. Dylia fod y gallu ddim gan llywodraethau'r dyfodol, ta bynnag diw gwleidyddiaeth nhw neu dyheadau nhw, i dynnu'r arian yn ôl. Ond wrth gwrs, yr cafiat i hynny ydy, mae rhaid fod ni'n gallu gwario'r arian sydd gyda ni ac yn perfformio'n dda ac yn gallu cyfathrebu neges fod ni'n gwario'r arian ar yr amser ni fod. So, yr calondid allai roi ydy, mae gennym ni gytundeb wedi ysgrifennu gen y ddwy lywodraeth a mewn gytundeb hir dymor sy'n mynd tu hwnt i cylchoedd etholiadol y ddwy lywodraeth. Ond y cafiat ydy bod mae'r bydd rhaid fod ni'n perfformio flwyddyn ar ôl blwyddyn ac yr prosiectau'n gwario. O ran yn stafellfa ni ar hyn o bryd, bydda finna ar prif swyddog 151 Duncan, a finna'n gorau mynd i gyfarfod efo uwch swyddogion neu'r gweision sifil diwedd flwyddyn, a byddwn ni'n rhoi adroddiad iddyn nhw o ran perfformiad a'n cynnydd. Dwi'n gobeithio byddwn nhw'n cytuno fod ni wedi gwneud cynnydd aruthrol. Dyn ni'n gweithredu, dyn ni wedi clusnodi arian. Mae yna hawliadau ariannol mynd mas o'r drws. Mae yna doreth o benderfyniadau ar y gorwel ac mi dyn ni'n delifero. Ac dwi'n meddwl y neges i'r ddwy lywodraeth ydy, wel, dyn ni wedi clusnodi i weithredu rwan bellach. Dio ddim yn fater o drafod prosiectau fel syniadau ddim mwy. Mae yna waith wedi digwydd i'w cynllunio nhw. Mae nhw'n digwydd a dyn ni'n committed i ddilifro.
Ie, good. Diolch yn fawr ti, Carwyn. Wait and see there. Peter, please. Pnawn na, Peter.
Just i ategu beth Carwyn yn dweud, a just i ddweud mae'r dylanwadau gwleidyddol wedi cyfnodi yn cofrestr reid ar tudalen 40. So.
Good, speciadwch rhwng chi am hynny, Peter. Good. Methu gweld rhagor o ddwylo lan, felly diolch yn fawr ti Carwyn a Adam. Felly, ewn ni mlaen at eto 6 awr, felly Stacey sydd gyda ni i cyflwyno papuryn am ceisiadau am newid gan brosiectau. Felly, pnawn da Stacey.
Good afternoon. So, as I'm sure you all are aware, Mid Wales Growth Deal now has a change management strategy and framework in place. So as part of this strategy, any changes that are considered significant are presented to the Portfolio Delivery Board and then yourselves for final approval. So we've received in 3 change requests, which I'll be giving you a few details on today. So that's the Green Futures Innovation Park, Montgomery Canal, Cymru Tech Park, which was previously known as Advanced Manufacturing Centre. So for the Green Futures Innovation Park, this is a timeline change. They wanted to change their submission dates for their outline business case. So they wanted to change the checkpoint 1 date from June this year to October. And then their checkpoint 2 submission date from August to this year to January 2026. And then their final outline business case submission date from September this year to February 2026. This to allow the team to submit a higher quality outline business case through the phased development approach. Then we've got the Montgomery Canal, which is also a timeline change request. They wanted to change their outline business case submission dates for the checkpoint 2 from September to October this year. And then they also wanted to change their final outline business case submission date from October to November. It's only a month's difference. This was to allow the team to submit higher quality final outline business case, allowing them time for an internal review to ensure it's a more comprehensive submission. And then finally, we have the Cymru Tech Park. This project has an integrated 2 projects, so sites and premises and advanced manufacturing centre into one. So they will now be going forward as one single entity. Therefore, they would like to change their timeline and governance checkpoints. So the checkpoint 1 submission date will be from July, moved from July 2025 to January 2026. And the checkpoint 2 moved from September 2025 to April 2026. And then the final submission date will move from October this year to May 2026. This will allow them to develop the project more. There's a lot of work going on currently with all the surveys and Big Innovation now working with them to develop their business case, plus more staff in place like project SRO and project manager, which are driving this project forward. I confirm that all 3 of these projects have none of the change requests will result in any dependency risks to the associated portfolio milestones. And when these change requests were presented to PDB on the 7th of October, they were approved. So now we're seeking your decision today on whether you're happy to approve these change requests going forward.
Diolch yn fawr ti, Stacey. Felly mae yna 2 penderfyniad i wneud o ran 2.1 a 2.2. Cyn bod ni'n mynd i hynny, na i agor lan gyntaf fath yna. Felly, pnawn da, Jake. Rush from one meeting to the other. So, catch your breath.
Hi, Shemai. No, good afternoon, and sorry, apologies for joining the meeting late. You know, I was in the Rural Forum meeting. I've got no issues with the first 2, and just seeking a point of clarification in respect of the now converged or merged projects in Newtown, the Cymru Tech Park. We've got an adjustment to the time frame there, together with the merger, and I'd just like some assurance, I guess, from officers. I see Diane's on the call, or Carwyn. As I understand it, there are some tighter time frames now that are emerging around additional funding opportunities. If we can make a technical start on the site, you may or may not want to go into detail in respect of that, but I'm really keen that we don't miss those deadline opportunities. And I'm being asked to approve a slippage here, as it were, but I wouldn't want to approve anything that had a knock-on impact and the loss of some serious additional money from the Welsh Government.
Mae Diane yn cael bach o trwbl gyda sain. Diana's having issues with audio anyway, Jake, so I'll bring in Carwyn on this.
Yeah, I'm happy to respond in terms of assurance, in terms of, so this is from a growth deal team perspective in terms of the revised timescales. We are aware, obviously, of some of those discussions, and Diane and Daniel, and we've been having conversations. So Dan will come in now, but I think just to assure you, the timescale there is just purely from a growth deal perspective. But we do understand and know actually there'll potentially be an even greater accelerated timescale if some of those conversations turn out to be positive, if that makes sense.
Good. Dan, can you hear us now then?
Yep, I can hear you now. Thank you very much. Yeah, so what have we done to enable that work to continue at pace? We've actually phased the work. So there's going to be 3 phases, which actually is a kind of initiative used across many of the other projects across the growth deal. So that allows us to move phase 1 initial works through at a quicker pace, and will potentially be developed without the full business case approval, but we'll have separate funding that will then be used as match to the full business case. So it doesn't delay or impinge on the opportunities at the moment.
Yeah, happy to check.
Yes, I am, and I'm content to progress. And I just thought it'd be worth just bottoming out that assurance, albeit we're being a little bit discreet.
Oce, diolch yn fawr, Jack. Diolch yn fawr, Dian. Dwi'n methu gweld rhagor o ddwylo, felly o ran beth ti, Jake, ti'n hapus bod ti'n cynnig dilyn ar argymhelliad? Mi wna i cymryd y ddoi argymhelliad ar wahân.
I was, but I seek live. Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Clive, come in then, please.
Chair, before members take the vote on this, I noticed that the Green Futures one already has a checkpoint 1 date which has already expired on the 31st of October, and the Mont Canal one has a checkpoint 2 date which has already expired for the gosh, I've lost the date, sorry, but both of those have already expired, and before agreeing to the extension, perhaps members would just like assurance that those dates have already been met.
Okay, Peter, gyda ni de.
Ie, just i ddweud, Mr Cadeirydd, ydy mae'r amserlen na wedi cwrdd gan Green Futures ac gan y Camlas.
Good, diolch yn fawr am sicr yna. Felly, Clive, shall we proceed? I'll be happy taking both of them separate anyway. Felly, mae'r penderfyniadau neu'r argymhellion lawr o ran 2.1 a 2.2, felly newn ni 2.1 gynta, Jake, cynghorydd Jake Berryman yn cynnig os allai gael eilydd cyn bod yn mynd i bleidlais, please. Gael eilydd ar gyfer argymhelliad 2.1, please. Glyn, diolch yn fawr ti, Glyn. Felly, ewn ni pleidlais i'r aelodau ar hynny de. Just ar 2.1. Pawb yn hapus? Ne, dwi'n methu gweld neb yn ymatal. Good, happy with that, Clive? Is that an old hand, Clive, or do you want to come in?
Sorry, old hand, Chair. I didn't realise. Sorry.
I thought you were trying to vote sneakily then, anyway. But ewn ni mlaen I argymhelliad 2.2. Jake, once again, are you
happy to
proposing?
Recommend.
Os ydych gael eilydd unwaith eto? Glyn yn eiliad o ffordd I Glyn. Felly, pleidlais ar hwnna unwaith eto. Hwnna'n ifrydol, felly diolch o'r iawn. Felly, diolch o'r iawn. Good. Felly, diolch o'r Stacey. Mlaen ni nesaf wedi at eitem 7, felly y Tengharad sydd yn cyflwyno hwn fi'n credu. Felly'r strategaeth gyfathrebu, mae hwn yn elfen holl bwysig wrth i'r prosiectau'n iddo mlaen beth bynnag, felly drosod ti de.
Diolch yn fawr. Prynawn da pawb. Yeah, this paper presents the updated Growing Mid Wales Communication Strategy. I'm asking the board to approve and endorse it as our overarching framework for communications. So why does it need updating? Well, last time it was approved February 2023. So, you know, it was before a lot of the recent delivery milestones. So we've matured since then with more programs in delivery, which means new communication requirements are needed. So version 8 brings everything up to date and aligns the communications with how we are now actually working as a region. So the key changes include channels and brands. So we've retired X, as has a lot of local authorities have recently. I think Ceredigion have done the same this week. And we've launched Instagram to reach a more younger audience through a more visual storytelling style. Also, sort of the brand has changed a little bit since the last time. So partnership is gone and it's just Growing Mid Wales, so we're reinforcing that brand. Slight changes to in-house governance and ways of working, sort of for clearer alignment across programmes. Roles and responsibilities have been clarified. Media handling protocols have been tidied up. Tactics are set out clearly, including Business News Wales podcasts, newsletter, and quarterly stakeholding mapping then as well. So yeah. Any question? Happy to answer any questions.
Na, diolch o'r Tengharad, fel wedi mae hwn yn elfen bwysig. Bydd Jake yn fynd rhan o'r podcast na gyda Carwyn Jones.
Diolch yn fawr.
Fi'n credu mae'n bwysig wrth i ni weld y prosiectau yn dechrau datblygu. Bod nhw'n cael bwy o sylw hefyd, yn wedi yn symud dod i'r elfen cyflogaeth. A bod ni yn anelu tuag at falle yn pobl mwy ifanc sydd yn wylo cyfleoedd gwaith hefyd. Felly, diolch o'r ti bydd yn mwy na hapus I ddilyn nhw'n. Just I cynghorydd Jake Berryman, please.
Yes, I mean, I suppose I wasn't around when we had the original strategy in place, but what I have seen is an emergence of what we're doing. So I think actually the strategy that we're seeking to endorse today is really catching up, Angharad, with what we're doing now. That you talked about the shift of some of those channels, and also the branding and how we present. And one of the things which I think is really consistent, in that, is how we collectively both use the platform of our own local authorities and, Brian, myself, Clive, Glyn, others, our own feeds, etc., to tie back into the really good work. And just through LinkedIn, which I tend to do, there's lots of stuff I see with Carwyn and others, and actually that helps to build that brand. And only this week we were talking about how we need to rethink what we do within the PSB to ensure that it has a stronger brand of its own. And I think we're quite successful here with what we're doing now. So I certainly would seek to endorse what we're doing. I'm sure in 2 years' time things will have moved on and we'll be looking again at that. But for now, it feels comfortable, it feels quite strong and purposeful, and it is beholding on all of us, as I've just said. And Clive, sorry, I can't see whether Clive's on the call, but he's really quite good at, again, not you, Clive, the other Clive, really good at promoting and supporting the brand that we have here. So I'm quite comfortable with it, and I'm happy to move this.
Good, diolch yn fawr ti, Jack. Os yna rhagor o sylwadau neu cwestiynau? Mae'n o ddoi argymhelliad, fi'n hapus i cymryd y ddoi gyda'i gilydd. Maen nhw'n dan 2.1 a 2.2 unwaith eto, sef cymrydwyo'r fersiwn wedi diweddaru o strategaeth gyfathrebu tyfu canolbarth Cymru, a wedyn ni argymell y strategaeth i'r bwrdd yma, mwyn i'r bwrdd ei cymrydwyo'n derfynol. Felly, Clive, you happy that we take both together?
Absolutely, Chair. Can I just ask a question of Angharad first, Chair, before we move to the vote? And this in connection with the newsletters which went out in October and are going out in November. Were they sent to members of both councils? And if not, does this board think that they should go?
Yeah, so from the start of the newsletters, they've always been sent out to, I've got a contact list for both Ceredigion and Powys county councillors, so they have received it. There was no October newsletter, but that content has been pulled through now to November newsletter, which we'll be hopefully sending out next week.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for interrupting, but I thought it was important that we understood whether all members being informed.
Ie, na, digon teg. Mae gen i na i achub ar y cyflen gan bod cadeirydd yr EAG gyda ni, Sue Balsam. Communication with yourselves as a group, Sue. Are you happy with the communication?
I think so. I think we seem to be receiving everything that you guys seem to be receiving. So thank you. Yeah, and the workshop was very successful as well. And obviously there's a communication about that's coming around as well. So yeah, fine. Well done.
Yeah, diolch, Sue. Sorry to put you on the spot. Felly, mae cynghorydd Jack Berman wedi cynnig bod ni'n dilyn y ddoi argymhelliad. Felly, os lle gael eilydd gan bod dim rhagor o gwestiynau. Clive yn eilio, felly ewn ni i bleidlais ar y ddoi argymhelliad. Clive yn apus. Ie, mae hwnna'n ni'n felly diolch yn iawn i ti am hynny, Angharad. Felly, ymlaen â ni wedi ni at eitem 8 a ti sy'n cyflwyno hwn, sef y blaen cynllun cyfathrebu wedyn ni.
Yeah, diolch yn fawr. Yeah, this is the forward communications plan for October to December. This is just for information only, just to show how we plan and coordinate key communication activity across Grow Mid Wales. The forward plan sort of maps key campaigns, events and routine outputs month by month. It sort of shows how we use different channels together, for example, LinkedIn, the new Instagram, newsletters. We also use intranet and the web, and Business News Wales, the Business News Wales platform as well. It helps keep the whole team aligned. It sort of avoids overlapping and makes better use of opportunities. The plan is supported by monthly social media monitoring, newsletter analytics, event debriefs. So this makes sure we're learning from what works and focusing effort where it has most impact. So yeah, just for information only. Diolch.
Ie, yr unig beth byddwn ni'n mofyn angharad, mae o'n dilyn adroddiad Dau Price o ran partneriaeth sgiliau rhanbarthol, bod ni yn targedu pobl ifanc hefyd, wrth nes i sôn am cyfleoedd cyflogaeth gynnau, felly bod na, allai hwn fod yn ar yn blaen rhaglen waith ni beth bynnag, sa'n gweld ots pam na byddwn ni roi hwn beth bynnag, felly ti'n hapus i ni na?
Ie, diolch. O'n i jyst moyn gweud fyna gyda'r pobl ifanc, trwy'r gyda'r portal newydd sydd gyda'r sgiliau rhanbarthol, mae hwnna'n mynd i denu mwy o pobl ifanc i dod i nabod beth mae'r Tyfu Canolbarth Cymru yn gwneud. So fi'n rili edrych mlaen i cyhoeddi yr gwaith sydd wedi mynd mae'r sgiliau yn wneud. So ie, diolch.
Fi'n credu wrth i'r prosiectau'n dod ymlaen hefyd angharad, rhywbeth mae Arfor wedi bod yn ei lot honno, dyw Powys ddim yn rhan o Arfor, ond maen nhw yn cael rhywbeth o blogs gyda pobl sydd wedi elwa o'r arian a pobl ifanc yn fyny i'w rheini, felly mae hwnna'n yn bwysig felly i roi'r neges positif yna mas beth yna o ran y canolbarth bendant. Gwyd, felly, os yna rhagor o sylwadau neu cwestiynau i angharad o ran y blaen raglen, i nodi ma fe beth yna, felly methu gweld dwy lan. Felly pawb yn hapus i nodi fe. Gwyd, diolch yn iawn ti, angharad. Mae ni wedi o ran adolygu a portfolio a datblygu pibliniaeth, felly nôl at ti Carwyn ar gyfer hwn, yn cynnig fe.
Ar papur yma, Mr Cadeirydd.
Ie,
Neu trafod yn Saesneg jyst o ran termau technical. Maen nhw'n tongue twisters yn y Gymraeg i fi, dwi ofn. So I'll change to English. So the purpose of the report to consider the proposed methodology for reviewing the Mid Wales Growth Deal portfolio, concentrating on the review of the current project set and considering a call for proposals to inform a revised pipeline. The background to why this needs to be considered, and the growth deal's been in operation since mid-2022. It's fair to say the 5-case business models prove challenging and slow. It's capital funding only, there's no revenue, and we're well aware of match funding constraints for projects. We've introduced some flexibility to the business case approach, and it's fair to say that we are making progress. But the board needs to consider contingency in case some projects fail. And the guiding principle, that's certainly come out through the PAR review is, if we're going to fail, we need to fail fast. And if we need to bring new projects in, then we need to be able to act fast, given that there are time restrictions on the growth deal. So in section 4, the current portfolio, the position summary, we held a workshop on the 22nd of October. Performance is broadly tracking on target. There's £12.5 million of unallocated funds currently. Red projects, in terms of confidence levels, currently account for 46 million of the allocation. I think it's fair to say, I think I pointed out in the workshop that, just as a balance sheet in preparation for the workshop, you've got to take a position in time to provide information. And I think it's fair to say that, we have seen progress on some of those key projects, in particular, the Cymru Tech project in Newtown, Green Futures. We're beginning to get some clarity in terms of what's happening in Elan Valley Lakes. And I think it's fair to say, just in line with what Barry was reporting on in terms of Lampeter, that the Tir Glass project is now going through a review and has had a bit of a kickstart. So that's all promising, but they need to provide or come up with the goods in terms of our review, which we'll go through in December. So in terms of section 5, the stop-go decision, the POMO is working with the projects to provide further assurance and confidence by mid-December. That includes a credible delivery plan end-to-end, a dependable funding strategy. So again, if all the funding is not secured, we need to have assurance and confidence that there's a reasonable funding strategy in place to secure that funding in good time, with a phased approach in particular. Continued alignment with the objectives of the growth deal, and projects understand that failure to make sufficient progress does risk withdrawal of Mid Wales Growth Deal support. So we aim for a stop-go decision in January 26. We'll bring a report for Growing Mid Wales